Hello there, everybody. It is another Sunday afternoon, so you know what this means. It's another AP poll instant reaction. We don't have a whole lot of AP polls left to judge because with the college football playoff poll coming in November, we'll switch our reacts to that when it's time to get there. But as always, before we get going, if you want to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below what you agree with, what you disagree with. I'd love to hear it. And as always, we got some new subscribers. Don't feel like you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to, of course, but we would sincerely appreciate it if you did. It always helps out with the channel. Starting with the number one team in the country. What a surprise. It's still Georgia. Georgia didn't have a big week. They had their off week, so the Bulldogs going to enjoy another week at number one. And Ohio State, well, it felt like they had an off week. Even though they struggled at times with Iowa, you never got the sense they were in danger. I mean, a 54-10 win, and it wasn't even that close when you look at Iowa's offense. That is a dumpster fire right now. There's no nicer way to put it. This is an absolute disaster to watch, and all Ohio State had to do was sit there and let Iowa beat themselves in about 5 minutes. Buckeyes rolling to a win there to keep that number 2 spot. Tennessee, number 3 in the country. They blow out Tennessee Martin 65-24. And I mean, that's what you expect Tennessee to do. When they're playing an FCS team, you expect to do that. Michigan also having a bye week as well. As you'll notice, the 5 and 6 as well remaining the same. Clemson surviving. DJ Uiagalelei getting pulled against Syracuse. Insert Cade Klubnik. Insert the comeback. We've seen this story before when Clemson plays Syracuse. Quarterback doesn't play well / gets injured, any reason to get pulled for Clemson, and they come back and beat the Orange. That's just something that's become common. The big what-ifs for Syracuse, I mean, Sean Tucker only getting 5 carries the entire game when it mattered. I didn't understand Syracuse's play calling in the second half at all. Just try to move the ball. I mean, I don't get it. I hate that playing conservative stuff when you have a 2-score lead, especially against a team talented like Clemson. You have to score. You cannot be complacent, but otherwise, it was a good game for Syracuse for 3 quarters, but at fourth quarter, you've got to play all 4 quarters, and they did not, and the Tigers did. That's why they get the win. Alabama, a 30-6 win over Mississippi State. Disappointing for Alabama fans. I can't believe it. They gave up a touchdown to Mississippi State. How could you? Just how could you? They still covered the 21-point spread absolutely fine. Mississippi State getting that touchdown the final play of the game. And that's the first, I believe, touchdown since Dak Prescott was there in Tuscaloosa for Mississippi State. So, my goodness, what a streak that had to come to an end. But no PAT, so it's going to be almost a decade since a PAT was made by Mississippi State in Tuscaloosa. Just what a streak, man. TCU with the big win over K-State. Yes, K-State trotted out Will Howard at quarterback at times and even got worse than that. No Adrian Martinez outside of the first drive of the game. You can look at all of that, but TCU, they still found ways to get adjusted. They still found ways to win the game. Frogs 38-28, TCU moving up to 7. Oregon had a big one of themselves, beating UCLA 45-30. The Ducks moving up to number 8, and Bo Nix, He's playing well. I mean, credit to him. It's one of those, I didn't know how well he would do at Oregon. He's proving everybody wrong right now. Huge win for the Ducks. They now take over as the team from the Pac-12. Oklahoma State, they had a big win on homecoming for themselves. A come-from-behind 41-34 win over Texas in one of the more entertaining first halves you will see. One of the most abysmal third quarters I've watched, and then a fun ending as well. So it was a weird back-and-forth game. Quinn Ewers not having a great day at all. Oklahoma State just kind of letting Texas beat themselves. They're going to make mistakes. Oklahoma State's going to take advantage of them, and that's how the Pokes move back up into the top 10. Same thing for USC. They win their bye week. They're number 10 in the country again. So we have our 2 Pac-12 teams set up in Oregon and USC. Wake Forest, also number 10. We have a tie for number 10. The Demon Deacons are a top 10 team, folks. They're back again. This is a fun Wake Forest team to watch still. I know they've kind of flown off the radar after losing to Clemson in double overtime. But this is a Wake team you absolutely still have to keep your eye on. If they can ride the wave to 11-1, chaos falls around them, they might just need a few things to go their way. Maybe they find a way to sneak into a big-time game. UCLA falling to 12. We already mentioned a little bit there. There were some rough patches for UCLA definitely in that game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had an all right day, but man, the UCLA defense absolutely struggled. And that's something that's going to have to be fixed. You could try to win shootouts in the Pac-12. It'll work some of the time, others it won't. And Oregon is one of those teams it will not work on. Penn State moving up to 13. They get the big win over Minnesota, and the whiteout Minnesota has just completely fallen apart. The 4-0 start, 3 straight losses. But if you're Penn State, this is the bounce-back win you needed because you've got Ohio State lurking around the corner next week. That is going to be a monumental game. If Penn State has any hope of getting to Indianapolis, you have to beat Ohio State. And that's one tough challenge right there for the Nittany Lions. But they'll be happy with that 13th spot there. Utah, same thing. They win the bye week as well, moving up to 14. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the story, I would say, of the week. Just getting absolutely blown out in Death Valley. 45-20. They had a 17-3 lead, and then everything that could have went wrong, getting outscored 42-3 for the rest of the game. LSU, just every single thing that they needed to do. Jaden Daniels played well. It was a great game for the defense. They shut Ole Miss down, and just Rebels couldn't do anything. It was impressive to watch. It was 20-17 at halftime. You tune in and think, okay, this is going to be a fun finish. Okay, LSU's got the lead. Well, there goes the game, I guess. LSU, whether it be making great interceptions in the end zone, whether it be just pounding the ball down the field, LSU did everything they had to do, and they are rewarded for it, as you can already see with that 18 spot they have down there. Syracuse falling to 16. Not surprising, a 6-point loss to a top 5 team. You shouldn't fall that far for it, but like I said, so many weird things happened in that game. The weird clock management at the end by Dino Babers, letting 25 seconds come off the clock for seemingly no reason at all. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Syracuse only falling 2 spots, though. Illinois, they move up a spot as well, up to 17. The Illini, once again, not playing this week, but hey, you'll take that. You'll take that 1-spot move on a week you don't play. LSU, the big jump in. They're now number 18 in the country. They have a bye this upcoming week, so we are guaranteed a top 20 Bama versus LSU. That is going to be a fun game in a few weeks to start November, folks. Kentucky, they move up to nowhere. They are still at number 19. They got the win over Mississippi State last week. They had a bye this week. They'll be back in action with a huge game against Tennessee this upcoming week, and that is going to be a huge deal for Kentucky if they want to win that beer barrel game there. Cincinnati, they move up to number 20. They survive a scare from SMU. Cincinnati had a comfortable, seeming lead, I should say, not super comfortable. Is there any lead that's really comfortable that's not a 30-point lead? But Cincinnati holds on, getting a 29-27 win, stopping a 2-point conversion when they absolutely had to, and keeping that season alive. Bearcats at number 20. North Carolina up at 21. They didn't do anything this week, so it's another team that survives by doing nothing. Carolina at number 21. K-State falling down to number 22 for their loss to TCU. Just a rough game for K-State. You lose Adrian Martinez. He gets injured the first play of the game, goes out after the first drive. Will Howard takes over. Everything seemingly going well. You get up 28-10. TCU scores right before the half. Howard gets injured. You have to bring in a third-string quarterback, and everything goes wrong. Howard comes back into the game, but at that point it's too late, and TCU comes back and just shuts K-State out in the second half. Just an absolute brutal loss for K-State, and it does not get any easier. They have Oklahoma State coming to town this week. And then Tulane at number 23. The Green Wave are 7-1. That's their best start since 1998 when they went undefeated. So a huge, huge season for the Green Wave that they're pulling off right now. I'm a firm believer in Michael Pratt. I don't know about all of you. This Tulane team, got to watch them last year against Oklahoma. And even though they weren't good that year, you could tell something was building. This is what Willie Fritz was building to. He's always had a consistent, 5, 6, 7 wins at Tulane. This is the season they've been waiting for. Had an almost sellout crowd at Yulman Stadium for their win over Memphis. Just a fun time to be a Tulane fan right now. North Carolina State, they lose the bye week. They did it, folks. They lost a bye week. Wolfpack falling to 24. It is not going to get any easier for them. They still have to deal with Wake Forest and North Carolina later on this season. And South Carolina makes their way in at number 25. Shane Beamer's done an excellent job with South Carolina this year. They've been able to get it done whenever they have to. They find a way to gut some of these wins out. They did it again, holding on. Despite everything seemingly going wrong towards the end of the game, South Carolina still finds a way to get a 30-24 win over Texas A&M. So a huge win there. Good to see South Carolina there. And as I've seen other people mention, 25% of the AP poll, teams from the Carolinas, Clemson, South Carolina, NC State, North Carolina, and Wake Forest. So a huge week for the Carolina schools. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below if there's a team you agree with, a team you disagree with, or have your own opinions about what will happen this week. Feel free to put them in the comment section below. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.